Hey, coming at you from the farmstead today, folks. And this has been a long time in coming, this video. So let me just start from the beginning. It starts from Craigslist. It's about the 1st of April. I think it's actually the 8th of April when I buy this little tiny shed. This shed's about 8 feet by 5 feet. Got a good friend who makes sheds, and he had used this for some of his pigs, and he was kind enough to sell it to me, dirt cheap, literally. That is what I started with. Why? Because I needed to redo a nice place for my pigs. My swine feeders, they really need a nice place, and this one is not in bad shape at all. It's in great shape. Sure, it's dirty. Sure, it's full of poop, but nothing a power washer can't handle. Now, I've had pigs quite a bit over the last 5-6 years, and even then beforehand, my wife's worked on a hog farm, and we've seen the mud. We've dealt with it. We've dealt with them trying to get underneath the wire and stuff, and we just decided that isn't how we want to do it this time. We've done that enough. Trying to keep pigs in, trying to keep them out of your garden, and our garden is a very vital supply of our homestead, folks. We have to have it. We can't let it get destroyed. So keeping these pigs in, we tried to put a floor base in here with some rubber and leave the kind of corners open a little bit so we can drain. We have power washed it out the best we can. And of course, the next step is we turn the kids loose on it and ask them to paint it to match the rest of our buildings. So the rest of our buildings are typically white roofed and red sidewalls. So we decided to do is we'll just paint all the metal with Rust-Oleum white after we sanded it, and then we'll take our red, our Morton Barn red, and we'll paint all the wood and make it work that way. And this is only the beginning of the project, because obviously I still got to get the pig pen. Now, I'm used to about 20 by 16 pig pens. That's what I'm used to on the different farms that I've worked, and the farm that I've had the pigs on before. I don't want that. The one thing I like is when pigs can run. They like to move. So I'm going to go really long, and I'm going to see if I can get 50, 60 feet long, and I'm going to do about 10 feet wide. I'm going to see if I can put a great big, big wheel feeder in it. I already did a video on that, so you guys can see the video of us putting that out. I'm gonna add a sprinkler to it, and I'm gonna put them on like we would in a commercial setting. I'm gonna put them on the concrete. That way I can add the straw, I can just deal with the poop, and then I can clean it up during the off season, because I don't have pigs all year, folks. I only bring in the feeder pigs, raise them up, butcher them off ourselves, and use them. So when you're homesteading, you can do it that kind of way. So this little unit's just about ready to go back out. We've repaired it and made it nice. Now I want to put in some waterers. Now with feeder pigs, I always have the challenge of getting them used to the nipplers, but I'm still getting it done. I got a pressure valve so I can take the pressure down to 10 psi. I've got a sprinkler and a bunch of nipplers, and I'm going to make this all work. The nipplers I bought are adjustable. There's different types. I'm going to kind of keep them on the slower side so they don't get blasted. I'm going to put the pressure regulator in so I can take my pressure down from, we have water pressure between 60 and 40 psi on the farm, and I'm going to try and get it down to about 10 psi. So I'm going to take some green treated wood. I'm going to put on some plumbing fixtures on it here so I can hold things in place as the pigs kind of yank and pull on these nipplers. That's hogs for you, folks. I mean, that's just the way it is. And then on the outside of the fence, I'm going to have my pressure regulator. I'm going to have it set to 10, and then I'm going to have a divider, which is going to go off to a little electric device which can run the sprinkler when I want to. Because pigs, if I'm not mistaken, have a thermal neutral point somewhere around 70 degrees. So when it's 50, 60, they're starting to get cold. And when it's 80, 90, they are not sweating, but they're hot. So I want to be able to have an automatic system so that it can, run the sprinkler and sprinkle them, and they can play in it and have some fun. It'll probably lessen them playing with the water quite so much, but, we'll see. Pigs make a mess either way. I kind of like my pigs. So this is my plan. I'm going to put 2 nipplers out for these guys, and I'm just trying to kind of put everything together to make it work. I'd love to say that it works, perfectly smooth the first time, but this is a little bit of trial and error. I'm going to have to put this out. I'm going to have to use it for a bit, and then maybe I can do a follow-up video on how well it works. I found all this stuff at Menards. This is standard, galvanized water pipe, and the nipplers are stainless steel, and the holders are, plumbing holders that you can get from any hardware store. The regulator, which does, I think, between 40 and 10 psi regulation, I bought that off of Amazon. The sprinkler, I bought that at our local Menards. And the timer for the sprinkler I bought off of Amazon. I wanted the timer so that I could do every day up to 4 or 5 times a day if I want to set the sprinkler that much. So this is kind of what it looks like, folks. I got kind of everything put together. Now I just got to go out there and throw it on things. I don't exactly know how well it's going to fit, but we're going to try it. As far as the sprinkler part goes, like I said, I got one of these timers. It's just a water timer. It's got a little like microchip on the top that helps sense water, so it'll shut off if it rains. It's got 7-day feature, 4 or 5 times a day I can make it run for several minutes. Oh, that's that feature there. It shuts it off if it gets wet. I think it'll actually work. I think it'll actually work really, really well. The sprinkler, I just bought a sprinkler where I can adjust it so I can make a dribble spray where I want. And then out to the area we go. So this is one of the runs. It happens to be right next to the gravel road. That's important for me. I want it so that I can face my shed to the south, so the opening will be towards the north. And I want access from the road so I can bring the grain truck up right next to it and eventually dump right into the Osborne big wheel feeder. Obviously, I'm going to fill it the first time with bags so that I can regulate it and set it. But after that point, I can just, literally have a couple thousand pounds of feed brought right in. So the first thing I had to do is get rid of the vegetation so I can get down to the earth pack. Once I got that done, then we were able to kind of lay out the design. Yeah, it's a little tight quarters in here, don't get me wrong, but I'm planning about, 9 to 10 feet wide and over 50 feet long. I want them to have a lot of room to just run and be pigs. Typically, I like to bring the pigs in if I can. I'm looking for those, 60 pounders, and then I'd like to take them up to 250. But I'm not going to go over that. I might even end 1 or 2 at 200 because I like that smaller pig. So this is how I'm doing it. Once we got it cleared off, we had to take off the electric on the one side of the fence, and then basically, this is kind of what I've got to work with. Next step after this is, kind of gravel it in a little bit, which I did, and then get supplies. Went and got, 8-foot posts, went and got a ton of rebar because obviously I'm in clay and clay cracks concrete. So I wanted to make sure I got that done too. We had to get ties so we could put it together. Just a lot of different things we had to get. So I got that all stacked up and ready to go. And we got some nice green treated lumber. Now normally you would use just crap lumber on the outside edge of this and then just take it away. But I'm actually going to use green treat and leave it out there. I'm not going to take down my edging. I'm going to use that to attach my hog panels to it too. You'll see what I mean when I use the claw fasteners. Reached out to Santee and the Minnesota equipment out there and rented their hammer again. I love this darn thing. An SM40 goes right on a skid steer with hydros on the front, and we just beat these things into the hard clay. It was snowing here 6 days ago, so the snow just melted. It's been a rough and long spring for us, and my good friend here, Luke, is out here, and we're just beating right through the frost and pounding these things in. Now the frost in Minnesota is anywhere between 3 feet and 5 feet. But this kind of machine can put it right through it. So I highly recommend it, folks. It's a fantastic machine. If you're going to put in big, heavy posts, and you're going to do a lot of them in a day, and you really want to work fast, this machine can do it. Now in the summertime, it really goes quick, but obviously beating through the frost took some time. So then we laid out our framing, screwed it all together for our concrete. I'm using 2x6s, so I'm going to drop about a 5-inch floor in here with full rebar, with exterior grade, probably 4,500 PSI concrete strength. And we dumped bags of gravel down. Then we had rock put in, like a larger kind of river rock. And then we laid our rebar on top of it. and everybody's got a different method. I chose to try to go with like the square method, so the 12 by 12 squares, but it ended up being closer to like 20 by 20 inch squares by the time I got done, just because of how much rebar I could get. I didn't realize that, due to COVID and the country problems and everything, that we're going to have a hard time getting some of the materials. But we managed to get it. I got these little ties and a stupid little tool for like $8, and we just tied it all together and we figured it all out, and it went together as smooth as I could. Now, you could take this rebar and put it up on little stands, so when you pour concrete, you don't have to pick it up. Because it's a hog pen, folks, I'm just going to pick it up and get it in the concrete the best I can. I'm not panicked if it's not perfect. And again, we filled any low spots with rock, and we did the best we could. Again, because it's cold, I'm under road restrictions, and there was absolutely no way I could get a truck in here to deliver me rock, so we had to do it all by bag. Thankfully, though, there was enough bagged rock. There wasn't a shortage of that. So now we've kind of got it up. You can kind of get the feel of it. This is the view from the goat barn, kind of a very fast, quick time-lapsed version of how it went in. I was pleased with it at this point. So at this point, I've got about, believe it or not, almost $300 worth of green treat in there. That was the expensive stuff. I got $100 worth of bags of rock in there. The gravel came from my own place. The posts, we put 14 posts in at $10 a piece, so about $150 worth of posts. I got about $190 gate on here, a 6-foot wire mesh gate. If you're wondering how we do that, that we certainly can show you, okay? The wire mesh gates, I can show you in another video of how I electrify them and make them some of the nicest gates I can make them. It's not the easiest always, but I sure try my best to make it so that nothing goes through them. And I think that works great. So I'll put in the comments on the video, or the description of the video, I'll put the link to the Osborne big wheel feeder we used for the assembly of that, and I'll put a link in there if you want to see how I make my gates so that they don't wreck my gates and how I electrify them. That just works great with the fencer. So as you can see at this part of the video, we had laid down the gravel and stuff. We did it all by bag because that's how we could get it in the farm with the road restrictions. There's nothing more I can do about that. It's just the way it was. Once I got this far, we did have to wait a week or two because we couldn't bring in concrete until we could haul at least 6 yards. I ended up needing almost 9 yards of concrete. That was a bummer, but what are you going to do? You got to pay the bill. And the concrete was about $1,400. So between the concrete, the gravel, the rock, the shed there for $200 that I just placed on it, the green treat, and the gate, all in all, I spent just a little over $2,200. I bought these really cool claw fasteners because my neighbor Chuck uses them, and that's fantastic. They go in so much nicer and easier than staples, and also allows me to replace a panel if one of the pigs wrecks it. I'm like, wow, that is nice. Not that you rip out a staple, but it's just not as easy to work with. So these are called claw fasteners. I bought them off the internet. They work really well for this kind of fencing. And my panels are 16-foot long hog panels that have the littler space at the bottom in case I want to get into smaller pigs down the road. I typically don't get into smaller pigs, though, because we're a cold weather state, and it's hard for me to do that. Now you can see as I go along the bottom of the green treat, I'm tacking it down there. That way, if they try to root underneath it, it should hold. On the outside of this fence, we've got goats. So my daughters had to go back and put the fence back up on the outside electric. And on the inside, the concrete is soft enough yet where I was able to just take a concrete bit and put eye lags in and get them lagged in so I could put the shed down, because we get some nasty wind, folks, and this little shed could lift too. Then I topped it off with some more wood on the top just to edge it nicely and hold everything in shape. And then the gate got thrown on and electrified. And again, I've got a whole video on how I do this gate and how I make it work. Again, I'll put that down in the links. I'm going to kind of skip over it here for the sake of moving on with the video. The next part of the project was kind of getting the water going. I got this timer all set up, and I got it hooked up, and then this will go off to the sprinkler, which is halfway down there, and it'll do like more of a dribble pattern, about an 8-foot dribble pattern from right to left. And that'll go off for them when we need to when it's hot out. So I'm kind of getting this thing installed here. And then the water will hook up to the top nozzle here, and then that'll go to the nipplers. Now, the reason I'm doing this with hoses instead of hardline is because in the winter I want to just disconnect this and take this into the barn. Then I don't have to deal with it freezing, because I don't deal with the pigs in the winter on the farm because it's difficult here. So I'm getting everything in. The concrete's poured, and as you can see, it's down and doing well. The concrete pour went very, very well. I was real pleased with how it poured. I don't have a lot of video on that because I tried to take it and it wasn't the easiest, but it still got done, if you know what I mean. Then we hooked the water up, tested the nipplers out, and that seemed to go really good. And right now we're pretty much ready to bring in the pigs. Just got to wait for the weather. As you can see, I was in short sleeves there. So now we're at about the 1st of May and it's starting to warm up. I got my pressure right on the gauge. I've got everything going to the sprinkler, so it's just a matter of setting up the sprinkler to what I wanted it to do, and making sure that it sprayed where I want, because I don't want it spraying 50 feet. I want it doing like kind of a rain pattern about 8 to 9 feet wide. Took a little bit of work to kind of get things adjusted and get it where we needed to. I attached it to a post here, and pigs really like playing in the water. So since we're not going to allow them to have a waller because they're not on mud, this will be kind of a nice toy for them. I'll also put probably a 10-foot board across here, and I'll have a couple hanging pig toys too. I buy those rubber ones that look like circles with little nubbins on them. It seems like the pigs really like to suck on those and kind of chew on them. So that's always kind of fun too. My little son here, he likes getting in the action sometimes. So this is the part, that's a little bit more time consuming. It's just getting things adjusted and set up, but we were able to get it done, folks. It ended up turning out pretty nice on the sprinkler system. Hopefully the pigs enjoy it as they go forward and enjoy on the farm, getting cooled off in the hot summer days. Once we got that done, it was time to get the feeder on here and stuff, because really this is the space. This should do really nice for 3 to 4 pigs. I'm not going to overload it. It should be a nice long runway. They can run up and down. They'll run right past the feeder. So in come the pigs. I get myself 3 of these little guys. Ours weigh about 65 pounds. I got the big Osborne feeder in here. I got it strapped down to the pallet strapped down to the post. So hopefully it doesn't move anywhere. Like I said, I have a video on that whole assembly. You're welcome to watch it, folks. I'll put the link down in the comments below so we can make that work. The gate is electrified, and the pigs are just kind of getting used to things. They're a little scared of me. They're like, "What are you doing in our pig house? Should we come down and visit you?" No, I don't think so. I think I'll just go back up to the water and have fun. As far as the water goes, I had to get them used to it, so I do have a little bit of a tub just to make sure they're drinking at the same time that we're teaching them to use the nipplers. But they're learning that very, very quickly. I found that if you put a little honey on the nipplers or a little bit of peanut butter, that really seems to attract them up to it, gets them playing with it, kind of gets them on it, folks. I think these little bacon seeds will do really well for us. I look forward to having them on this method versus dealing with them rooting out of my fences and so forth. I think this will work really, really quite well for us. So these are the pigs. The pigs are back on our farm. They're back in their new place. I've been waiting a long time to show this. I know it's almost the beginning of June here, folks, but it took us some time to get it done. Spent about $2,300, and we've got a nice comfy home for our little bacon seeds. And at this point, the farm will continue on with other projects this summer. I appreciate you watching and liking, folks. Subscribe and follow our channel as we go through all the fun with our animals and our livestock on the farm.